Thanks for joining us. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. It's 5:31 p.m. and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board that we will start with the pledge, if you'll join us. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please, Randy.
Okay, Trustee Winslow.
Present.
Trustee Kidda.
Here.
Trustee Leighton.
Here.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Treasurer Rickauer.
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas, our attorney Roger Zappa, and committee members here from the DDA. Rob Sved is here, even though he might not be from the DDA, but he's here. And Kim Clark is here from staff too, as the finance director.
Okay, nice to have a full board. Everybody's here. Any public comment? Anybody wish to address the board before we get started?
Afternoon, Rob Sved, Chair of the DDA today. I hope you had a chance to come in from the south on your way here today. If not, I would leave and head south because we've got a section of roadway that's been repaved. A lot of those bad holes are filled. It's not perfect, but it's something that we thought was necessary to get done. It was brought up at a meeting, our April 14th meeting. Just kind of as an aside, somebody said, why isn't somebody fixing that road? And somebody else said, why don't we fix that road? And 7 weeks to the day, it was paved. When I walked by yesterday, I noticed that they had it marked out and didn't look like they were going as far as we had anticipated. So talked to our manager here. We walked out, spent 5 minutes looking at it, made a call to the road commission, and they agreed, yep, we'll go as far as we can with the money that you allotted for it. And we have an extra 150 feet on the south side or so. So it looks good. Hopefully it alleviates some people's aggravation. I also noticed today, when I was going through there, they marked the pavement again for the other road reconstruction project that's supposed to occur soon. And it's going to abut right to what we just completed. So we'll have a few hundred feet of beautiful road for a year at least. We'll see what happens next year with the winter. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
It is nice, I rode on it. Much improved.
One of the DDA members emailed me today thanking me for it, and I said, no, pat yourself on the back. This was your decision, not mine.
Any other board comments on that? Okay. So tonight's consent agenda has approval of work session minutes of May 19th, 2026, and regular meeting minutes of May 20th. Bills payable in the amount of $183,679.02. I did include the University of Michigan close-up report talking about board finances, township finances, and the fee increase that was approved for July 1st. I stuck that in there for the Solid Waste Authority, so that means trash bills are going to go up. And I came across this e-bike flyer because we know the city has just recently done some restrictions and talked to their police department, and I thought it would kind of be information for everybody to have that explanation in there. So if there's nothing to pull out.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we just need approval of the remainder.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Then we have a presentation tonight. Sarah Sikorsky is going to talk about the Schwemmwood Storybook Walk.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good, than's for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me here. I've been talking to John Kangas on and off for the last year or so about putting a story walk or a story trail, is what I call, in the Schwemmwood Park. So what it is, it's a family literacy and outdoor recreation project to connect the High Iron or Heritage Trail back down to your, to that parking lot that's down there. So what is a storybook trail? It's a trail where families can go into nature, read, learn, and enjoy. So you can go out into nature, and what you're going to find in nature is a book just like this. It's going to be broken up onto different pages. So you have, like probably not this page, but you have pages like this, and then they would go on a stand, and then you would go to the next one, which would have the next page, the next one. So you just work your way through the woods all the way up until you get to the top of the trailhead there. So we first actually came across one in Ohio. We were at a rest area, and we came out to the rest area, and it's a beautiful story walk trail, all about this tractor, because it's Ohio, everything is flat, and they had a big tractor there, and we've read the story. My daughter, who was 4 at the time, thought it was the most amazing thing she's ever seen in her whole life, and just kept talking about it over and over again. So what it would be install a permanent or semi-permanent display stations along the walk route, so families could read a children's book page by page as they work away. In Schwamboy Park, using the existing trailhead setting, so I know I've been on that trail before. You can either use there's the paved trail that goes up, or you guys have tons of mountain bike trails that go off. So you could have a choose your own adventure out in the mountain bike trails, or just one big story that goes up to the Iron Heritage Trail. It supports early literacy, family engagement, physical activity, and appreciation of the UP. So it gets people outdoors, enjoying, and you get people reading stories. So what I we just finished installing, well, it's almost installed one in Marquette Township. The price was roughly about $7,200 for that one. That included the stands for 20 pages, so a 20-page book, and then making the pages in waterproofs, and I call them UPR-proof so that the snow and ice doesn't get into them. So what the stands are, there's a detachable stand with a slide-out thing, so you open up the bottom, you can slide the book out, and you can slide the book in. So if you want to do more than one book, at some point you could take the book out, put a different book in its place. So Storywalk is an outdoor reading experience, so you can get an idea of what one looks like right there. Families move from station to station, reading together while walking. The model combines early literacy, physical activity, and family time. It's a low barrier family activity, so it's free, self-guided, no equipment is needed other than the signs. It can be usable to families, schools, libraries, visitors. It adds to existing public space, supports recreation in Marquette Township, and can be built through collaboration with groups, or you guys can put one in yourself. So Schwamwood Park is a strong site, existing Iron Heritage Trail at Marquette Township top, so you can either put a sign at the top, you can say trailhead, or sorry, story walk, and then people can come off the trailhead, or you can put one at the bottom and people can take that right up onto the Iron Heritage Trail. Listed trail services are parking and kiosk, open to walkers and bikers, connect the trail network to families already using it. It's got a good location, you guys know where it's located, 3 miles from Marquette, about 7 miles with that Iron Industry Museum, and it's a natural setting for it. Install display stations along the short walkable route in Schwamwood Park. Place one book and spread out the pages per station. Use durable outdoor frames, comparable water-resistant signage. Include simple sign entry explaining how it is, so explaining that this is here. Design a route in the next station. Again, this your public benefits, early literacy, outdoor activity, family engagement. Brings new people maybe to that trail, to that park. Maybe people come in there and use that trail and then head on up to the Iron Heritage Trail. Can feature any kind of nature books. What I have here are a list of some general ideas of books for like the state of Michigan, or like Y is for Uper, M is for Mitten. Sport the Great Lakes dog, so talking about our local Iron Heritage here. Books about our water and taking care of the water. And then these are just some other ideas. Legend of Petoskey Stone, plus I have a few on the next slide. There are comparable regional examples, as somebody was asking. Sault Ste. Marie has one, Cedarville has one, Pickford has one, Escanaba has one in their library in the front yard, and then Marquette Township is going to have one in their trail network in the back behind where the cross-country trails are. And then again, here's some estimate of how much it costs for the Marquette Township one. So $5,500 or so for the stands. Waterproofing the book that we chose was $1,700, so the total was about $7,200. That didn't include installation or an entry sign, so a big display saying there's a story trail here. And then So here's some ideas of some books for the trail that we have. So I found some of them at the library, and then some of them I wasn't able to find. So that's what I have for you guys. If you have any questions, anybody want to see any books or anything?
So who maintains this then? We do?
You would, yeah. So the Township's going to maintain and take care of it. They said that they were going to take care of it, maintain it, wash it. They said that they're going to leave it out winter long, so if it gets buried in the snow, they're going to leave it out for the winter, and then the people there are going to maintain it.
And then they would swap out the books?
Yeah, so they have a book right now that would that they're going to put in there, and then then you could possibly maybe get the book and you can put it here, and then if you guys had a book, you could trade it with them back and forth or something like that. But it is an open signage container that you can open and slide the book in and then take it back out. So the signs are very familiar, like, you know, like when you go on a bog walk and you see those stockings talk about like what's in the area, like ferns or trees or stuff like that. So that's what the signs for that particular story ended up looking like. And then they go inside these containers so you can take them in and out.
But you have 20 of them.
It just depends on what story you want.
Okay.
So if you pick a story that only has 10 pages, then you only need 10 of them. So it just depends on, in that particular book that we used, there was, it was very similar to this one. It had a map in the front of it. So we put the map out on its own display case, and then at the end it had a picture of a freighter. So we put that on its own display case. And then we put each of these, so each of these pages would go on their own. And as you work your way through, so you put it in order as you work your way from one end of the park to the other end of the park.
I guess this just, maybe everybody can follow this, but you're using one book, and how do you get the 19 pages then? Do you copy them?
Yeah, so
Oh,
you,
okay.
so you have to get permission from, so we got permission from the author of the particular book that we put in New Township, and from their publisher. And then we took the book to Science Now, and she took it the book apart, and then she put it in a graphic design program, put it on that, and then brought it back to us, and that's why it cost about $1,700 to make them weatherproof.
Okay, that's included. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I think that's great. You took an idea and ran with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
So when will Nagani's be up and running, so we have something to go look at?
He said, so we walked the final property two Fridays ago, and they were gonna start putting the sign stands in. And so he said in a couple of weeks, so he started thinking in the middle of June, he can probably have that complete.
Oh.
And his sign, he's got an idea for a sign, but we don't have the entry sign, so can I go, if I go this way? Okay. See that there's like a storybook trail sign. This was one of the ones I found online from the Ohio Department of Public. So like the DNR here in Michigan, they have an Ohio DNR, and they're paid. A lot of these storywalks are paid in Ohio by the DNR. They have different storybook trails, but there isn't. Where he's putting up an entry sign there, so when people are at that playground, they can go and see that there's a trail back there, and then they can go take on and walk on the trail.
So it might end up costing Nagani Township more than the $7,200. That's just for that, if they
That was just
decide
for
to do
that,
it.
and then however much it is for the sign itself. So right now they're gonna go in without the sign, but then once they have the sign, he thought maybe they could install this year, but if not, it might be next year.
Okay. John?
Sarah, when we first started talking about this, there were some funds that you thought might be available to help cover the costs of the materials. Are those funds still available, or?
As of right now, so the funds, Nagani Township was paid for by the Great Start Collaborative Marisa through a 35I grant and Talk is Teaching grant. If you guys don't know, the state of Michigan cut all the Great Start Collaborative funding and put it all into another pool. So as of right now, there isn't any funding for this. But this was just we talked, and I still wanted to present the idea to you guys for it. So.
I still think it's a great idea, and if that funding ever comes back, that would be my recommendation we jump on, but there's also opportunity for you to consider funding it yourself. I wouldn't say that I've looked at where in the budget we would pay for it yet. If there's interest, I can come back to you with some options on how you would. Fund balance is the obvious one.
I think we could get businesses to fund a podium each.
One each station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just put a little plaque on the post saying this,
Funded by.
these
Yeah,
pages.
Or even individuals.
Sure.
You know, would be another way of doing it. We just have to break the cost out so we know how much it is. We have to pick a book, nail all this stuff down. We could probably even get somebody to do the
Yeah,
original sign.
Yeah, I know that gentleman that does all the trailhead, the Iron or Heritage Trail signs, those are beautiful signs, and that would be very reminiscent of this area and our heritage anyway, with all the iron ore and the big iron from those railway trucks and things that they used before that. But yeah, it just comes down to whatever book, I mean, I can put the list of books back, but it depends on whatever book you guys choose, is however many pages that you would need for the, so some of those books have shorter amounts of pages than other of those books. Again, so it would, if you chose, for example, this book, this, if you wanted the map, it would be 1 page. Then you would have to have, of course, you'd have to have an author one, but, then you would have a page maybe with that. And then each of these would go on their own stand, so one like this. And then so for example, I would come and I would read this one, and then I would walk with my kids to this one, and to this one, and then you just work your way right up the trail there.
And I would-
Down, depending on what way you wanted to put it.
I would think if we were to consider this and wanted to swap books with other local municipalities, we'd want to make sure we have enough kiosks set up to
I was
accommodate
gonna say that. yeah.
all the various books that we could swap out.
But there, if you don't, you could also like get the kiosks and then like keep them in a storage. So if you have a book that has 12 of them, and then you switch up with a book with 20, then maybe you have them, in storage somewhere, so you might have empty ones.
Empty
sitting out.
ones, yep.
Storage, do we have extra storage around here?
It's on the list over there. Huh, wow, that's something to think about anyway. It's pretty novel. Ha, no pun intended.
Yeah, so as of right now, the way I recognize in the UP, there are 3 in the eastern UP. So one in Pickford, one in Cedarville, and one in Sault Ste. Marie. And then the one that's going into Gandhi Township. And then I heard rumors of one on top of somewhere out in Houghton, but I'm not 100% sure if there is one in there. And
Escanaba was another one on your list.
Escanaba had one in their library front yard.
And is there still a walk at
Okay, so the ones that I know there are in
at the elementary school?
There's one at the elementary school in Munising.
And then there's one in Marquette at an elementary school. There was one that was there when I've walked that one at Superior Hills.
Oh,
You don't know about that one?
There used to be one at the Fifth Strip.
Yeah, but Superior Hills has one. I don't know that it's a storybook or if it's a science.
it could be a yeah.
Yeah, but that concept of walking.
Right, like it was like the bog walk over in on Pascal. You walk through there and
Right,
different station signs. But this is more of a picture book.
So who's selected the book titles?
For New County,
Right.
I presented some, and the township supervisor selected the one. And
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's a great idea. Okay, but I think we would want to get a couple people involved. Our librarian from Peter White for sure to select the title, so we don't get in the wrong titles up there. And
they chose a book called Oscar's Voyage, which is about a chipmunk that stowed on a Great Lakes freighter. So it was perfect for that.
and we have certainly we have a native culture in our community, and certainly I would think they would be supportive of that.
Yeah,
So.
so that's what this one is, a native culture book.
But yeah, a couple different kinds of things, but they're cool. It's a cool idea. Yeah.
Or you could do more than one book, so you could have 2 or however you guys wanted.
And I like Carl's idea, and I think people are willing to donate to that, even not just businesses, just people.
Maybe a couple board members would like to get together.
They
and
might, or
figure that
to
out.
pay for a bench so people have a place to
Well,
sit
they
along
could
the way.
Figure out who and how much and
Yeah.
who to contact.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate the presentation.
Yeah. Where did you-
I know how to get a hold of you, Sarah. If we decide to move forward, I'm sure we will try to tap into your vast knowledge on this subject.
Thank
But it's not beneath us to ride Negaunee Township's coattails either.
They're close.
Yep, thanks again for coming. Community linkage. I've been kind of out of pocket, so I haven't even had a lot of meetings to deal with, but one that I did want to share was the LSCP breakfast and business that they have every couple months. And this would have been last Friday or the Friday before, I forget now. It was on emergency response. And I thought that was pretty interesting, an hour and a half. David Yoder is the Michigan Small Business Development Center Director. And he's stationed, I don't want to say. He's in Houghton, that's right, I remember. And he is available to help small businesses with any kind of emergency response issues, questions, literature. He's paid by the state and the feds, and whatever business wants to call him, it's free. The information's free, and he'll help, whether it's snowstorm, tornado, flooding, any kind of emergency response that you'd be involved in, or the community, the company, whatever. Brian Hummel, that we know from one of our committees too, is the County Emergency Management Coordinator. He was also on that panel. The county's Lieutenant Brian Curran is the County Emergency Management Representative. And then they brought in the city manager, Nate Heffron, to round off that panel. And the biggest takeaway from the whole discussion was that if a community has, or even a business, has some kind of an emergency that they need some kind of response to, you need to have some cash. You need to have cash on hand, because more than likely, if the power's out, you're not going to have power. Not going to have your credit card machine or your Venmo or whatever. You need to have some kind of credit line. He said that every business should have a line of credit so that you can continue functioning to take care of your customers or patients or whoever it is. And then you need insurance. You need to make sure that you've got, whether it's flood insurance or, that's kind of the extreme, but good enough liability insurance to protect your business, maybe to pay you while your business is down. It was just really different, even from my perspective as a past business owner, to think about all of that. I wish I would have had some of that knowledge back then. But that, again, that information is free if you want to contact the Michigan Small Business Development Center. He's, again, up in Houghton. David Yoder, Y-O-D-E-R. I thought it was kind of interesting. Usually LSCP brings in some pretty interesting conversation panels or slide projections or something, And I just wanted to share that one with you. And I have talked to two people, one at the store, one at the gas station, and they said we're doing a great job. So I wanted to pass that on. One person I know knew, the other one knew me, but I didn't know who they were, and they didn't offer their name. But she said, you guys are doing a good job. I live in Marquette Township. Both of them live in the township. So that's always good to hear, because usually it's, what are you doing now? Anything else? Are you hearing anything? Talking to anybody? Linda?
So I heard from the community that they are noticing that there's a Marquette Township car driving around in the neighborhoods in Trowbridge looking at people's property. So that was good to hear, because the concern in my neighborhood still is the junk in people's yards. So hopefully it'll get cleaned up.
Some of it may take longer than others. John?
Little background on that, our zoning technician, part-time, started the Tuesday after Memorial Day. He's been on the job a week. He's been very busy. Plenty of field trips. One of those issues that our current staff has had trouble scheduling into their workday when they're stuck behind their desk, right? So I think this is already proving to be a really good decision on your part. I'll be the first to say I maybe fought it a little bit at the beginning, but it was for all the wrong reasons. So another reason why I'm not always the one that's right.
It's okay, you're here for information too. Appreciate that. Anything else? Okay, let's consider the MTA membership renewal. Who wants to take that one?
I put it in the packet, but it's really up to you whether or not you want to continue being members of MTA. It's really the statewide organization that represents townships, especially from a lobbying perspective in Lansing on all of the things that pertain to both charter and general law townships. There is a sister organization called the Michigan Municipal League that some townships are members of, and someday I may bring that to you to consider as well as an associate member, which is the lowest level. But MTA is the organization that the township has been a member of longer than I've been around, and it's been the organization that provides us the most amount of resources for what we need, especially for how we operate day to day and how you operate in your meetings, what your responsibilities are, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, besides the conferences too. I guess, you can't even access their website if you don't have a membership. Correct. You can't even look at information or anything.
You can go to their public-facing website, but you won't get the resources without a login email that the clerk has to provide them.
I did have a conversation after this LSCP breakfast on that Friday, and a couple of us, 3 of us actually, started talking about how maybe MTA could help. So I sent an email to Shelley and Mike. Shelley, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Casaderas maybe, and Mike Selden. They were kind of the educational communication people. And one of the things we talked about was that clerks and treasurers have established meetings. You've heard the clerk say multiple times, we've got a clerk's meeting. You know, the county pulls together, and the county clerk gets everybody. They have training, and they have videos, I imagine, and some testing, probably. No?
Testing.
Okay. Treasurers do that, you know, the county treasurer has connection with township treasurers. Supervisors don't have anything. They do offer, MTA offers a supervisor's seminar. It's usually 2 or 3 days, usually downstate. So I just asked them if there was something we could do in the UP, and whether maybe even gear it down just to the county and have the 19 supervisors be able to get together and have some kind of a training class or something, you know. So that was one of the questions I had. The other one, I had a conversation with the Powell Township supervisor. They had a pancake breakfast that they were trying to raise money for their EMS fire department, and so we went up to Big Bay and had breakfast. So I ran in the kitchen, introduced myself because I knew he was new. Their whole board didn't run again. So they had 5 new people sign up who knew nothing about paying bills, conducting meetings, elections, taxes, assessing, nothing. So he stepped in as supervisor and was trying to make it work, you know, and he's been going to the county township meetings to learn from that. He's emailed me a few times, and he was just mortified that there's no way to have an easy transition when the whole board could disappear. So I posed that to them too, and we had talked about that. I don't know how many MTA conferences I went to, but over the years, and we would bring it up and bring it up and bring it up, that this needs to have a staggered board. So there's some continuity. So Powell Township he was gonna try to hire an administrative assistant to at least help with some kind of historical knowledge. Because usually a charter township would have a manager because it's bigger, you know, there's more involved. But they even have a cemetery, and they've got public works, you know, so they have some staff, but no municipal experience or history or knowledge. So I kind of posed to them again, MTA, you really need to push something that if it isn't a staggered, come up with some kind of an idea on how to protect the municipality. Because that's what they're supposed to be doing, is working for the municipalities. Because if all of us decided not to run, poor John and Roger and Kim, I mean, it would just be chaos, you know, to sign checks, and it's not functionable, if that's a word. It can't function properly. So anyway, I hadn't intended to talk about that, but that's part of the MTA thing. They need to work on that to help us. So hopefully I'll get an answer on that. So continue the membership?
Yes, I'll make the motion to continue the membership for $7,283.12.
Support.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Master plan.
So Lynn, Jason isn't going to be available tonight, but I told him that I would pass it along, that I think the planning commission had looked at this, and Linda can chime in too, but it's basically the resolution of concurrence that will get us to where we need to be for this master plan for the next 5 years, as required by law.
I guess they were supposed to be forwarding that document to you or putting it in your mailbox. I don't know. Has anybody seen it?
The master plan's actually online, but I wasn't going to put it in the packet at 235 pages.
They were going to email it.
It's on the website and it's available. If anyone needs a copy, we can get one for them, so.
And it's been reviewed by the county, the supervisor. It's been talked about for a while. The planning commission has looked at it multiple times. There were small groups that met, and they took all the suggestions and the suggested revisions and put it all into a plan that's 253 pages, right? And once that's approved, then we'll be able to move on using that plan as a background information to get our priority goals going. And you will also see some ordinances being proposed as well, based on what is in that plan. So the planning commission is very excited. It was a big deal.
Yeah, it's an awesome document. Totally. And you had a steering committee too.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Johnson and Bethany Cody and Dennis Farrar, 3, and Brad Crimmins, Mike Conter, Fred Grandchamp, and Megan Hornbogen. So some of the community got involved too, individuals, and past and present business owners, so that's good too.
So I'll move to accept the resolution of concurrence in support of the master plan update 2026 to 2030, and the resolution number will be 060326-1.
Support.
Okay. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Oh, it's a resolution.
Yeah, sorry.
So Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Kidda?
Yes.
Trustee Winslow?
Yes.
Trustee Leighton?
Yes.
Trustee Everson?
Yes.
Treasurer Rickower?
Yes.
And Supervisor Durant?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. I'll get this done and then I'll get it over to Jason then, and then we can put it in our resolution file.
Please take a minute to look at it, a few minutes, scan through it. It's got good historical data, topography, it's got everything you can think about.
Yeah, the
Excellent
survey
document.
results are in there, so you can see what it was that our
Maps.
community, not just Marquette Township, but our community as a whole, what they were looking for, so.
And that was paid for by a grant too, $50,000. So we were able to, go the extra mile and making it very professional. So hopefully, updating it in 5 years won't be much at all, unless things really change. Hard to say. Okay, any more public comment? All righty. Any announcements?
Yeah, we, from the clerk's office, we hosted the Marquette Area Public Schools recount a week ago. And the results were they did not change from the hand counted recount. And so the election stands as posted, because there was absolutely, the machines were right on with the hand count. So gives me great confidence in our election integrity that this happened. So they took one precinct from the township, 2 from the city, and 1 from Chockley. All the ballots were recountable, which is good. And we had different, like my work, we all had to bring 2 workers. So like my workers counted the city precinct. And then city workers counted our ballots. And everything was right on, so I was very happy with the results. I think Trustee Layton stopped in to observe the process, and everything went good, and now they're moving on to their next step, so. But the election results are certified, so.
Good job, Randy.
Yeah, those are kind of touchy situations when we have recounts, because my greatest fear is we didn't seal it right, or we forgot ballots in a machine, because then you look pretty foolish when your results can't be recounted, so.
But you're pretty meticulous.
Well, we try.
Appreciate that.
We try, so that's all we can do is
Got
the
a good
best.
crew, too.
Yeah, we do the best we can, so. That's all I have. Oh, anyone that didn't get their manager evaluation to me, make sure they do, because they're late. We got to make sure the manager gets evaluated in a timely manner, so. Get them to me ASAP. By this Friday, if they're not in by Friday, the results don't count from you, so. Okay?
Let's support our manager.
Yep.
Due Friday. Randy can tell you. You can tell him after the meeting who's you're waiting for. Okay, Mr. Manager, speaking of you, what can you share?
Well, the DDA chair stole my biggest thunder, but it wasn't even my thunder to steal, so it was his own. I once again thank the Road Commission and DDA for finding a affordable temporary solution so to save our dentures and our suspension and our wheels on our vehicles for the next year. And to remind everybody, the paving that was done out there is to get us through 1 year. Baco Construction is coming in the next week or 2 to replace that worst spot just south of the Venture Moran intersection, all the way up to the butt joint that the Road Commission just paved. So we'll have pretty good pavement from the south edge maybe of this intersection to Werner and even beyond on the south side. And that was compliments of Rob Sved's eagle eye catching that they hadn't marked as far south as we had hoped they would. And like he said, we went out there, took a look at it, made a quick call, and by the end of the day it was done. Road Commission did a great job, and they had until the end of this month to get it done, or they would have had to wait until the DDA met again in July to decide what to do next. I'm so glad it's done. You may have also noticed there's cones out on Werner Street. That's for part of the Section 19 funding that the Road Commission got from the county from the flood 2 years ago. So the first part of that funding is covering the Baco repairs out here on Commerce. The second part is to clean out the storm system on Werner and do a small repair to the side path on Werner where we had some of the base just disappeared during that storm, and we lost, I don't know, a 10-foot stretch of the pathway. We were able to fill it back in with gravel, and it's held up since then, but it hasn't had a permanent surface put back on. That'll happen here in the next couple weeks. We also have that chip sealing coming on the east end of Werner, which is the local portion of the road network. Meeski, Moran from here to Ontario, and Vandenboom. I might be missing one more, but those roads will all be chip sealed, and that's to help prevent the surface from further oxidization, which is what leads to smaller and smaller blocks ultimately leads to alligator cracking. So it prolongs the life of that surface. Now, I will say, chip sealing in an urban environment like we have in Trowbridge isn't necessarily received well by the public. I think there's one or two of you that understand why. The road commission has assured us they've improved their process. They do the work themselves to minimize the amount of excess chips that end up out there. We had originally talked about putting a fog seal over the top to really seal it from both sides, but they think that their improved processes, we don't need to waste that money by having a separate contractor come in and put another layer of emulsion over the top. We'll see how this goes. I don't like saying that these people are the guinea pigs, because Huron Woods, Bishop Woods, and Oak Hills already have had it for, well, longer than I've been here. So this isn't the first time. It's not the greatest for like stroller wheels, rollerblades, or even I call them pizza cutters, road bike tires. But it will get better over time. I've been up and down Werner Street that was chip sealed a year ago on a bicycle numerous times and haven't had any issues. So it's one of the most affordable ways to extend the life of a roadway.
Yeah, just the initial, like, right after they do it is gonna be the time where you're gonna get, we had a older lady that was irate that came in there. She went down Warner and chip, 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 you know, the rocks hit her vehicle right after that. But hopefully it'll be better.
It's similar to driving down a gravel road for a little
Yeah,
while.
for a little bit, yeah.
Yep. So from a construction perspective, I think that's all we have. Currently, Lenny's got a whole bunch sort of waiting to go. We should have an asset management plan soon on the water system. That will get the horses back in front of the carts so that as we approach these booster station upgrades, hopefully the asset management plan is going to say that we were right. If not, we might have to reprioritize. I don't think that's the case though, because these are the things that are most pressing and probably the most expensive right now. Mainline water main, ductile iron pipe from the 80s, that's going to be there for a while yet. We don't have to worry about spending millions of dollars replacing pipe at this time. We just have to be planning for it in the future. Wastewater, we will have lift station issues coming up soon. Today was the first Wednesday rubbish, and kudos to our zoning technician. He asked us to put something on the Facebook page to remind people, because part of his job is asking people to clean up their yards, and why not remind them that there's a free opportunity if you're already a residential garbage customer here. I say free, they're already paying for it. Heritage trails, there's a couple of, we'll call it the two-headed monster. It's just the paperwork side of things that have caused that projects to come to a little bit of a halt. They do have a sewer permit now, and I would assume that's from Eagle. I would assume their water permit would be coming soon also. So you'll see Oberstar probably remobilize to that site in the next week or two. We're continuing to work on the developer reimbursement agreement for the Build UP bonds. The important part for you to know is the Brownfield Authority is writing into their developer reimbursement plan that the Brownfield Authority will pay the township the principal payments directly. So that takes the most significant portion of the burden off of how that gets repaid. There's still a couple of other caveats that would have to be in a separate agreement, and maybe Attorney Zappa will want to elaborate on that, but the insurance payments as part of the bond payments are not reimbursable through the TIF. So the developer's going to have to pay us that directly, and we need that in agreement to ensure we have it in time to make the payments. Part of that can probably be addressed by having the developer pay the first 2 years of interest payments up front, or keeping a minimum balance of $7,500 in a, call it an escrow fund or a bank account that's interest earning, however you do it, so that those payments can be made on time. We won't have an interest payment that exceeds $7,500 through the 10-year bond period. And then what other precautions can you reasonably write into an agreement in the event something doesn't go per plan, the TIF revenues don't show up on schedule? The biggest issue that they're dealing with being on schedule right now is bureaucracy. And we're part of it. It's just what has to happen to make sure that the project is done right and documented properly and recorded properly at the courthouse. So they got a PUD agreement, signed, sealed, delivered, recorded, but part of that agreement required a homeowners association agreement, which relies on a master deed, and all of those things are in the process of getting completed now. So we can't issue zoning compliance without the master deed. So any footing work that's already started is waiting on an inspection before they can pour, and you can't get the inspection without zoning compliance. So it's bureaucracy, but it's intended to protect everybody. But it's slowing down progress. That's just the facts of it. If Attorney Zappa has anything to add on that, I'll yield the floor to him.
I'll keep it brief. It's consumed most of my week. It's moving onward. The attorney for Renovari is dealing directly with the county on determining what they want and need, because there's a land division issue. Without the land division, it's a 4.96 acre parcel, and they have nothing that breaks it down into the individual lots yet. And until that occurs, that's one of the holdups on the building inspection, which is not our holdup at all. That's building inspections are done by the county, so that's on advice from the county. And as recently as yesterday, there were ongoing discussions as far as what needs to be done and what does the timeline look like.
What a monster.
I would say that everyone's been devoting as much attention to this issue as we reasonably can, trying to keep things moving as quickly as possible, but ultimately the documents have to be prepared by the developers team, their consultants, their in-house staff, whoever is writing them. We have one agreement to supplement the brownfield reimbursement agreement that we have to get done before I can tell you we're ready to sell some bonds. And really, that's what our involvement is in that, is it's the full faith and credit of the general fund with reimbursement from the developer, and how do we ensure that the developer is held responsible, whether it stays on plan or not.
That was a great summation, because it is very involved.
And we're far more involved in this project than we've ever been in a project before. Normally, when you get to this stage, you have that master deed recorded, the lots and parcel IDs are chosen, zoning compliance is issued by the lot, and away you go. We're just cleaning up the paperwork at this point, helping to the extent we can.
Forestville, changing the subject, is going to get done this year too? Is that right?
Yes, that project was also awarded to Baco. From 492 to the entrance of Huron Woods, wherever that coal joint is from the project the road commission did when they replaced the bridge.
Okay. Somebody call John and tell him.
That's 90-something thousand. And we had budgeted 150, 3 years ago,
I think so.
right about the time Longyear first came knocking. And that project is silent at this point. Their PUD has expired, so I don't think we should wait anymore. I've said enough.
Any questions for John? Anything burning that you want to know? Okay, thanks. Mr. Clerk, how about our motions?
The first motion was the consent agenda as presented. That was approved. The second motion was the regular agenda as presented. That was approved. The third motion was to approve the MTA membership renewal, and that was approved. And the fourth motion was to approve the Township Master Plan 2026 through 2030 resolution of concurrence, and that was approved through roll call vote.
I did forget one thing. Next Wednesday is the Brownfield Authority's next meeting. They asked me to attend to provide the township's position on this. And I intend to tell them that the township's on board with the direct reimbursement from the Brownfield to the township for the principal payments, and that we are working towards the separate agreement for the remaining payments and any shortfalls in TIF revenues. Unless I see
Sounds
this.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have anything for the next agenda that's burning so far. Our next meeting's June 17th. What does the board want to share? Anything? What you got going on, or hearing, or issues?
Oh,
Anything?
I'll try to get the absentee ballots out by the end of June for the August 4th election. So we usually try to get them out 40 to 45 days in advance. So we'll be doing that at the end of this month, hopefully.
Have we heard anything on those sound panels, the replacement ones, on the damage and shipping?
We asked for them to send us a new shipment ASAP, and we have not received an update yet. They were going to assess the original delivery when they received them. Lenny's been on vacation. He'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if he has any updates.
Anything else?
Seeing none, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Support?
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned at 6:23.